Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Robinson, and we're going to talk about ExamView for teachers. So let's get started with ExamView. It's a test-generating software which allows teachers to create tests or handouts. So let's go to the icon, ExamView, click it, and gets on. Here's licensed to me. This is version 6.2.1. So what can we do? Well, we can create a new test using a wizard. We can create a test from scratch, open an existing test, create a new question bank, and banks we'll talk about a little later, open an existing question bank. So if we use the test wizard, it pretty much picks questions for you, I believe, and we want to get one from scratch. So let's click on that. We have to give it a name. So let's give it a name. View for equations. Let's make that view of equations. Alright, that's the name of my test, review of equations. Now this pops up. To build a test, choose a question selection option. So there are options from the select menu. You can also click the toolbar located at the top that's up here and select your question based on the following items. So if you wanted to select a question at randomly, you would use this and it would just select questions for you, I believe. There's a listing. You can click on that and it'll show you a list. It's not really recommended unless you want to see the questions because they just have the standards. Here's You can click on this if you want to select by standard and level of difficulty. Select while viewing. That's my recommendation. You want to see what the questions are because you may not agree with what they are choosing for your students. Select by criteria, whatever criteria or standard you're measuring the students' abilities. You can choose it by that or select all. Is also okay. So here's our heading. Our test is blank, ready to be filled up. So let's go up here and we select the one with the glasses, the binoculars, and click that one so we can view the questions as we select. The course offerings come from algebra all the way down to pre-algebra. There's an art gallery, course 3, course 2, and course 1. So let's go to algebra readiness. Double click on that. And then English comes up. The language spoken, Spanish version comes up. So let's click on English because that's what I am speaking. And now I'm looking for equations. In the different chapters of this book, it has the different items that we're interested in. Here we have one-step equations, decimals and equations. So if we scroll down, we'll see some more in the book. Chapter 7 has solving equations and inequalities, so that's a good one. So it goes all the way to the 12th chapter in this. So let's start with some easy questions. So one-step equations, so let's select that. Notice it goes down here, and we can select the next one, chapter 7, if we wanted to, or chapter 3 if we wanted to. So I'll just select chapter 3 also. So let's select that. So notice it goes in here. We're ready to go to our next thing. And the banks have added the questions for you to see. So now all you have to do is look at the question, and if it's to your liking, you can select it. So you just scroll down, and notice down here it tells you what bank you're looking at, the chapter 2 of algebra readiness, one-step equations and inequalities. So if you see something you like, you can pick it. So looking for equation. So hopefully we'll find something that we like. Here's a one-step equation. and it's a multiple choice. It gives you state whether it's true or false. So it might be too easy for my kids. So here's another one, little bit of properties. So here's an interesting one. C equal 2C minus 4, and they have 8 here, so the C equal 8. So that's an interesting question. And then, oh, the directions right up here is the given solution, number of solution of the equation. So yes or no, you'd have to pick it. So I'm gonna pick this one. I like that one, and I'll pick the one underneath that by checking off the box. So notice there's a check. Checks off the directions for these two equations. And notice over down here, total questions on test so far, I have 2. So let's go to a different test bank. So we go to our test bank. I've chose some from chapter 2. Let's go to chapter 3, see what they have. So it loads up Algebra Readiness Chapter 3, Decimals and Equations. So I have to look and read the questions. If I want, I can just scroll down a little bit faster and get down to the equations, get past these decimals. So I'm coming, do some equations here, and I'm in the equation, solving the equation. So here's one that they should try. Here's another one. Here's an interesting one. So I picked 3 more. Notice every time I select the question, my total questions will go up. So when I'm selecting a question so far, there's 4 questions on the test. So let's add, there's 5 now. I just added another one. And I can add as many questions as I like on this. So let's click on finish. So I got 6 questions on the test. Here's some information about translating the test because it has different languages on here, so you can translate from English to Spanish if you want. So this is a feature that's in this program. If you are writing your own questions, you have to make sure you update your test bank to indicate the language as well, because it will not be translated for you because you're updating your own bank. So here's what the test looks like. So I have my 6 questions and the directions with it. So, and it's all multiple choice. I have only 6 questions. So it's a short test. So let me add some more questions. Let's try this list and see what this is. Now, I already have my algebra readiness because I'm looking for uh, chapter 1, chapter 4. I already have chapter 2, so there's nothing in chapter 1 or 4. So I'm looking for equations. There's chapter 7. So let's click add chapter 7, select it. Notice chapter 7 is down here, it has equations. So let's go there. So it's adding chapter 7, reading the test banks. So it takes a moment to add it. Now notice it doesn't have the questions, so you don't know what you're looking at in here. So the difficulty level's over here, but you can have a whole lot of questions there. And there's chapter 3. So there's chapter 7 questions. I'd like to add some from chapter 7, but I don't know what they look like, so I don't know if it's a good question or not. So let's go back and cancel out of this and look at the questions again. So let's look at the question. We already have chapter 7 down there, so let's go to next. So let's look at the questions. All right, so if you notice, our test bank down here is on chapter 2. So it says readiness chapter 2. We already selected questions from chapter 2, so let's click on this and go down to chapter 7 and add some questions. Now, here's a nice 2-step equation, so I'll click on that. This is another one with a negative number. Here's a good one with a fraction. Notice now I had 6 questions. I just added 3, so my test choice is up to 9. So let's get one more question and scroll down a little bit. Let's add one with distributive property. Alright, so I have 10 questions for my test. So I'm finished with my test, and there are my 10 questions for my test. So that's a good test, and you can even add more if you like. And now I'm ready to print. So let's print my test. Here's the interesting thing about this test generator. You can create more than one version of the test. So if I wanted two tests, I can scramble my questions, scramble the multiple choice answers. So that way I have the same test, but the choices are scrambled and the questions are scrambled. So the kids will have the same questions, but the answer choices will be in different places as well as the questions will be in different places. I like this feature right here, calculate new algorithm values. This will create new questions on a separate test. So that way, when you have your second choice of the test, it's a brand new test. And it's similar to what you have, just the numbers have been changed. So we print it up. So we just print it out and we'll be good, ready and set to go. So it'll print out this and the other versions for you so you can see what your tests are. So if I scroll down, you only see test A, this one, along with the answer choices and the objectives and the key about the test, so the standards and everything, so difficulty level. So that has all that on it. So that's just for this one. Each test, I created two tests though. When you print out the other one, you'll see what the other one looks like. So that's how to use ExamView for teachers. Before we exit, let's save our test. So let's go back because you need to save your test. So File, Save As. So you can create a folder in the here, exams, and give it a name. Double click on that. Give it a name. Equations review. And when you need it for future reference, you can always pull it up. And again, that completes our task. We've saved our document and we've printed it out. So when we want to open an existing test, and let me go back. So if I close this and I'll go back, let's go back to the desktop. And when I go back, and I'm ready to open the test. So open an existing test. I go to my exams, and there it is right there, already open for me, and I can do my translations and everything. So that concludes our demonstration of ExamView. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. If you need more information and you want to see me during school, no problem. I'll be glad to help you out with it. So this is Dr. Robinson signing off. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.